Oh, sorry, Emily. I'll get you on there right now. Thank you for letting me know. There we go. All right, all set. All right, guys. Well, here it is. It's been a while since this term came out of my mouth while teaching. We are going to use transformations to prove triangles congruent. Prove triangles congruent. So, yeah, we're going back to, I don't like to call these proofs because we're not going to do statements, we're not going to do reasons, but we are going to prove two triangles congruent to each other. Except I don't need side, 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 angle, side, or any of the other three methods that we've gone over previously. Here's how I'm going to prove the two triangles congruent today using transformations. Hey, if I rotate a triangle and I get a new one, are those two still congruent?
Yeah.
Why?
The sides and angles are still.
Sides and angles don't change, right? If I translate a figure, are the two going to be congruent?
Yeah.
And if I reflect, correct?
Yeah.
That's all we're doing today, except you got to figure out what we're doing. Are we rotating, reflecting, or translating? So I start with the basic one up here because I need you guys to word these in a certain way because they're not organized into statements, reasons. And instead of saying to you guys, oh, go ahead, I'll be flexible, you guys be creative and write whatever you want. No. I don't want to do that. All right, I want a certain template, a certain format that you guys write these quote unquote proofs in. So number one, I come right out and I tell you, I am doing a reflection over a line. Triangle A prime, B prime, C prime is the image of ABC after I reflect over the line. Why are those congruent? And in your mind, you're basically saying what? What transformation did we just perform? A reflection. And what do you know about reflections? Do they change the size of the shape? No. But how do I write that? How do I want it written? Here's how. So you say in your mind, I'm doing a reflection. Reflections don't change size or shape. What do we call that? That if it doesn't change anything? Rigid motion. So you're going to tell me reflections are rigid motions. And what was so special? What are the two qualities of or properties of rigid motions? They preserve side length and angle measure. Except of side length, I'm going to say they preserve distance, which is basically side length, distance and angle measure. That's just bare bones right there, all right? I told you we're doing a reflection, so you said, hey, reflections are rigid motions, and rigid motions preserve distance and angle measure. Now, as I go to number two, you guys have to find out what you're doing, right? Now you have, I'm not going to tell you it's a reflection or anything. Get specific too. Whoever I call on, if you tell me it's a reflection, you better have the line available to reflect over. If you're going to tell me it's a rotation, you better have the number of degrees you're rotating. All right, so I'll give you guys a minute here and try to figure out what you're doing here. Yes, Radhika?
Can we use the angle symbol instead of the angle?
That's fine, yeah. So try to figure out here, how do I get ABC onto XYZ? And just one more time from Monday, what I like to do is I like to take one of the coordinates. So A is 1, 1, 4, and its image, which would be X, -1, -4, and see how I can get it onto each other. And see if that rule works for everything. So go ahead a minute, and then I'll ask somebody what you got.
On a test, would you give us like all of the other words except for the ones that you have to fill in? Or
No. This is, the blanks are just helping you out with how I want it written.
And then we have to just remember.
And then as you can see, the last problem we do today in class is no blank. But I still want you to write it in that format. All right, I think I've given you guys enough time. How does ABC match up to XYZ? What do I need to do here? Get specific for me. Ooh, that was suspenseful. Hannah, what do you got? I'm just totally guessing. Yeah, I've been memorizing these. Go ahead. Rotation of 270. All right, if I go 270, ready? 90, 180, 270, it would end up in quadrant 4. I do like the rotation, but maybe not of 270. 270 is too far. Because 180. Okay, yes, it ends up being a... Now, some of you may have said, can I reflect over the y and reflect over the x? And the answer is yes, you can. All right, it is a perfectly good answer there. It's just the way I have the blank set up, I'm going to take rotation to 180 because it just fits. But if you had reflect over the x, reflect over the y, you'd be correct. So here we go. First thing you tell me is this is a transformation. This transformation is a rotation. Not good enough. Not good enough. If you just put it's a rotation. A rotation of 180 degrees. All right, you did a rotation. Since rotations are what? Rigid motions. It's the same all throughout. You just got to find what you're doing. Okay, since rotations are rigid motions, they preserve distance and angle measure. And I do need a little concluding statement here. Thus, in conclusion, henceforth, I'm just no. I don't care what goes in the. I'm just telling you. Different words for thus. In conclusion, henceforth, thus. Anybody else want to add in anything? Meaning, therefore. Anything else creative you got? Okay, we'll stick with those. Thus, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ. Look at that. Back to proving triangles congruent, huh? Little different, though. Little different than the old side. We have one more unit of proofs, and that's circles coming up next year, and then we'll be officially done with proofs. Okay?
Yay, circles.
Yeah, you guys really have no idea what's coming at you that unit.
No.
Yeah. Enjoy this.
No.
Enjoy this. All right, next one. Same thing. It does say after a sequence of transformations, so you probably start thinking, maybe I'm going to have to do 2 or more here. I don't know if I can do 1 or not, maybe, but I don't think so on this one. All right, so you guys are going to have to dig deep now. Dig deep. Using 2 or more transformations, how do I get ABC onto A prime, B prime, C prime? How am I going to do it? Dig deep here. Dig deep. Don't quit. Try different things out. Rotate, reflect, slide. Make sure it works for all the points.
Wait, are there multiple ways to do this? Because on the lines, it's the way that I'm doing it, but I'm just wondering if it's like, because it's the way the words are formatted so that it fits perfectly with what I was saying.
I'm sure there's like 2, a lot of people just do 2, but you could maybe do 3 or 4 transformations that get them on top of each other.
Yeah, I have no idea. Oh, also, do you want it in vector notation or other notation?
Words, vector, function.
Okay, so anything?
As long as you get the idea, if you're telling me it's a translation, you get that point across, however it is.
Wait, did you say it has to be in words?
Or notation.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Because remember, these blanks won't be here for you. All right, I'm just starting you guys off with the blanks so you guys know what type of format I want. All right, how'd you guys get them on top of each other? What did you do? Explain to me in your own words, what did you do here? Going home now. Caroline, good morning. What did you do here, Caroline, to get them on top of each other?
I reflected it over the y-axis and then translated it down 3.
Okay, that's what I had. All right, that's what I ended up doing as well. Everyone okay with that? Okay, so first, triangle ABC undergoes a reflection through the y-axis. Yep. And a translation of, and now here's what we were just discussing in class together. You can just write of down 3. You can write the translation symbol capital T, 0, -3. You can do it in vector notation, 0, negative, anything that works. All right, anything that works. Words or notations. And then since reflections, so after you tell me what you did, then you say, all right, reflections and translations are rigid motions. They preserve distance and angle measure. Well, it's pretty much smooth. It's pretty much the same wording, except for the very beginning, which is on you, which you have to find what you did. Distance and angle measure. Thus, triangle ABC congruent to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. All good? All right, you ready to take the blanks out for the last one for today? Let's take the blanks out. But before we explain why they're congruent, we need to actually find the double prime triangle ourselves. And where is it? Now I'm going to tell you, here's how we get the double prime. We got to translate 5 units to the right and up 2. After that, reflect it. Whoa. Y = 0, huh? There's a fancy line. We'll have to talk about that when we get to it. But before we do, we need to translate first. Right 5 up 2. All right, that looks good. All right, what's the deal here? Reflect over the line, y = 0. Quiz yesterday, you guys had what? X = 9? And that was a vertical line?
Yeah.
Right? What type of line is y = 0? Y = any number?
Horizontal.
Horizontal, going through 0. Anybody got another name for y = 0? That's also known as the x-axis. Yes, it's a fancy honors way of saying reflect over the x-axis. Y = 0. Now it becomes pretty easy, right? So let's reflect it over the x-axis.
If we have a question that says y = 0, can we put x-axis in the field?
Yeah, that's fine. It's the same thing. Make sure we're double prime there at the end. All right, now it's on you guys. Now it's on you.
Why do you even need to like graph the triangle? It doesn't really have to do with the statement if we know that it's a translation reflection.
You don't have to, but it says the graph and label, so.
So like if it didn't say the graph and label, then you don't have to because it has really
No.
nothing to do.
You already know that it's a translation and reflection. That's already been told, so yeah. So here we go, explaining it in your own words. Please use the same format we've been using on the last 3 problems when you filled in the blanks. So first you tell me what you did. So we did a translations and reflections are rigid motions. Okay, next, what do you know about rigid motions? They preserve distance and angle measure. What do we want to use here? Thus, you're just going to keep it plain. Yep.
Do you have to say that triangle ABC undergoes a translation of 5?
No, because it was already told to us.
Okay. So
Okay, it was already, if you find that out on your own, Radhika, yes, I do need to say that. All right, but since I was told to do it, we were told to do it, I don't need to say the specifics of the translation. You can still put it, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yep. Thus, yep, question?
Be able to say something like, instead of putting in 2 sentences, translations and reflections are rigid motions, so they preserve distance and angle measure.
Yeah, Sophia, I teach math, so I am the last person to be critical on grammar. Okay?
I'm not.
Yep.
So I know you said that you wanted specific.
Yep, I'm not going to be, as long as you get the point across that they're rigid motions and they preserve distance and angle measure, how you say that and what apostrophe, comma, semicolon you use, I'm not going to be picking. Thus, triangle ABC congruent to triangle A double prime, B double prime, C double prime.
Do you not have to say it undergoes a translation and then followed by a reflection just because it's on the
It's already, yeah. If again, Maeve, if I said here are the 2 triangles, describe the sequence of transformations and why they're congruent, then yeah, I'd have to go through all that detail. Yeah. Kyle.
In the homework that we had for Monday, it said opposite rigid motions, and that was when they changed like the order.
Order of vertices, yep.
So, but the like a line reflection we said was
still a rigid motion. A line reflection still keeps the triangle congruent to the original, but it just changes the order of the vertices. Doesn't change
so
size.
it's not the opposite of a rigid motion?
No.
Okay.
What opposite rigid motion means is the orientation is opposite.
Okay.
That's what that's referring to, the word opposite.
Isn't it like when it goes A, B, C instead of
Clockwise, and then all of a sudden ABC goes counterclockwise. All right, questions from you guys. Proving triangles congruent using transformations. Okay, please save that homework on pages 36 and 37. Is that 36? 29 to 31. Wow. Pages 29 to 31. Save it for tomorrow in class. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Pretty easy day for it.
So we played like backyard games.
Well, no,
Yeah, I thought he said today we're playing kickball.
But we have today.
Matt
outside
though.
No,
I don't think so.
he said we're not going outside to record.
But it's nice out.
I'm
I'm gonna ask him.
wearing night sneakers, white night sneakers.
Yeah, don't worry about those. I had these for like a year.
Sneakers are for recreation.
Yeah, I do not buy those sneakers.